Number 4 is public comments. Anybody that would care to address the board at this time, please step forward, state your name. Try to keep it to 2 minutes, please.
Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the county board, I just want to let you know that if you're not aware, I am running for seeking the appointment with Governor Walker for the sheriff's position due to the retirement of Sheriff Mark Kelsey. I appreciate any support. However, I'm not going around one-on-one soliciting support because I have the utmost respect for you as county board members, county department heads, and want to maintain the best possible working relationship with everybody. So any support given is greatly appreciated, but I don't want anybody to feel that I don't appreciate their support or want their support, not making that one-on-one contact. Thank you.
Thank you.
See anybody else, and you're not nodding at me, but I'm coming forward. Gail Johnson from Ojibwa. I appreciate the county board coming down. I just wish you had given us more notice. The only reason I know you're here tonight is because someone I know looked at the county website and saw it on your agenda. Our local paper comes out on Wednesday. It's still in my mailbox. I haven't read it. So, you know, most of the people do not know you're here. Why couldn't you have scheduled it for September and advertised it during this month? Just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, may I respond to that?
Anybody else care to address the board? Step forward, please.
Hi, I'm Martha Brower, and I'm a private homeowner tourist rooming house operator who dealt with the tourist rooming house ordinance that you worked on for a year and a half, and also was my attorney, Mary Beth Taranto, who worked with a group of us in order to bring to your attention that statute, which had actually been mentioned in a meeting in December, but for whatever reason had not been pursued. And I guess I did speak with Administrator Hoff today. My concern on your item 8B, where you're seeking, through your human services, you're looking at the environmental agent for the state status. In reading the resolution that you have, item 16, I believe may not be really what reality is in the community, and it tainted that resolution a little bit when I read that. I think it's important that you look into whether this is a big undertaking and whether you have the personnel, the resources, and the procedures in order to do that. I think it's wonderful if you are actually going after that status and are ensuring what's great for our tourists that are coming in, our restaurants, and all of that that you provide. But I did feel a little bit with item 16 that it did have a little bit of a stab at the private homes, and I was just respectfully asking Administrator Hoff if you would mention that to you to move that. There was a lot of expense on our part. There were times when I felt that many of the supervisors were very helpful. They listened, looked at the data, and I was very pleased with the results, although I didn't really like the process. And so I do believe that there's a lot of I don't want to say preferential treatment, but I do believe, I'm a full-time, I live here full-time. I live here full-time. It's a home next to me that I had to buy out of a circumstance or that I rent out. And I believe there's a little bit of preferential treatment that still hangs on from days of the past. And I would ask that, you know, as you continue to conduct public hearings and public meetings, that you take the input from the public, even when it comes with emotion and anger, and maybe some negative comments. I tried never to do that. I tried to be as professional as I could, but and consider pursuing that information that we give you, so that you don't look bad a year and a half down the road, and we don't have the expense as the public. And it was $7,000 in order to right the wrong that we felt was occurring when you were applying it unfairly, and it had a sense of unreasonableness to it. So, on our behalf, I'd love to send you the bill. I know that it won't get paid, but I'm thankful that that particular ordinance doesn't exist, and that you are, through public health, I understand what you're doing, and I just hope that no residue from any of that hangs on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Joe Bodo, I'm a nearly 30-year resident of Winter, Wisconsin. Just a little historical perspective. First of all, I want to thank you for coming here. Approximately, it must have been about 25 years ago, Bill might remember, we had an organization called Southern Sawyer County Concerned Citizens. It helped bring the meetings here. We found out that in larger districts, they did bring meetings to the outlying areas, and so I think it's greatly appreciated. The issue I want to speak to is county funding regarding Sawyer County Transit and the disparity of services to the southern end of the county. Sawyer County has a population of somewhere about 17,000. I think I looked it up today. The reservation population, something like 20-some hundred on the reservation. It shows there's 2,700 Native Americans in Sawyer County. The bus has 20 dedicated stops every day in the LCO community. If you look at the population down here, and I'm not making this against LCO, I'm saying we have almost 5,000 people if you start looking at these southern communities, and we have no service. The only service we have is the bus route that is bringing up the disabled folks to Ventures. Two routes, on Highway B and on Highway 70. And that is, if you wanted to take that bus route, you could, and it's running when the day service is in operation. But the reality is, you will be in Hayward you'd have to leave at 7 and you won't come home till 5. Years ago, we had a dedicated route that came back during the day. It would come back and allow people to take a bus route up in the morning and come back through the southern communities in the midday. And I think that the numbers are there. I think we give somewhere 150,000 to transit. Is it close to that? I don't know exactly what it is. But if we're not going to serve the southern end of the county equitably, I would request that a motion be made or someone look into contracting out. I contacted Indian Head. Maybe they would come up here to Radisson or Jibwa and what have you, and bring people back to hit some shopping in some larger communities and access some other services. The numbers are there. We did it before. Anyone can look around and see empty buses driving all over anyway. So what's the difference if run one down here or something, okay? That's my thought. And Bill, you remember that when we had those meetings, we brought that up. Before we had 911, it was long distance to call Hayward. If you had to call the doctors or you had to call the sheriff, you had to go down to Denny's gas station and put 75 cents in the phone. We had that organization, we got the 800 number. Eventually 911 came in. But it also got the 800 numbers for the county government when people did not have cell phones in 911. And we also got the ambulance because of that organization. I'm thinking about starting it up again. Something just to consider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else care to address the board?
Good evening, folks. My name is John Napek. I'm a resident of the great state of Minnesota where nothing is allowed unless you have a permit, bubble wrap, or some kind of law to keep you from doing whatever you want to do. And I want to speak to all of you on this board tonight to most specifically the recent attempt, again, apparently, that's being discussed and potentially voted on, that were hammered through by some of the members of this board sitting here tonight regarding the short-term rental that I'm tired of having to pay and continue to go to these meetings to fight because it was illegal and unintellectually thought through and almost seemingly like it was written with crayons. And I thought, who am I to complain about all this? But I have every right. I'm a taxpayer. The only problem is I can't vote. And I can't vote some of you members that allowed this rotten ordinance to be written, to be voted on and talked to death by members of this committee, of this population, only to have it flogged for over a year, wasting Sawyer County taxpayer dollars. And I'll tell you what, if you guys think that you know that this is a good move to try to take this railroad and bring it again, because there are some members of Sawyer County who may be being affected by this, and you want to give them an exemption by attacking private property owners like us who rent our properties out, bring a lot of income and revenue to this population because you have an agenda. I would like you to seriously think this, because part of this resolution to be an agent to the state talks to the fact that that there's a population out there that has so much problem with this. Well, we had a report from Mr. Dale Olson, who came up with 20 complaints out of a population that probably swells to 40,000 people during the summer. 20 complaints, oh my God, the sky's falling. But yet we ran this ordinance through, didn't we, Jim? And with the help of Bruce Paulson, doing this ridiculous ordinance that we had to spend my hard-earned money and other people's money to shut you guys up. And I'm tired of this crap, and I hope that you guys rethink this stuff, because I'm just absolutely sick of this intrusion into private property owners and what we do. We bring a lot of income into this, we respect our property, and I would hope that you guys really think this through before you make the next step to try and be an agent with one person to try and conduct inspections on vending machines and pools, and my God, the private property owners who are renting our property out, painting us as if we are bad people and everyone around us are so good. So thank you.
And Will's here to address the board.
And I would ask for the resignation of Jim Bassett and Bruce Paulson. And
Number
Dale
5
Olson.
is the minutes